Happy New Year to my favorite subscribers, to my viewers who have been with me throughout 2021 and now it's 2022. Super excited to begin this year by sharing with you all my videos, by sharing with you stories of young sport managers, by sharing with you anything sport relaxing. And I believe that we're going to have a pretty good time. It's 2022. What's your New Year resolution? Well, mine is to pack, my books and get more knowledge in sport. And so I just want to share with you my little contribution so far as sport management is concerned. Last year, somewhere around this time, I began writing a chapter because I was invited to contribute to this book. I hope I've not turned it. It's Embedded Multi-Level Leadership in Elite Sports. And there are various contributions, and they are from different countries, and Ghana was part. I'll run you through the various topics. I hope you get a copy, and I'll share the link with you. So join me as I take you through the various topics, and you will not regret getting yourself a copy. Let's go. So to begin with, it's important to go to google.com and you type in the word embedded multi-level leadership in sport. Then you search for it. It will give you various options over there. The first one often that comes is the Routledge.com. You click on it. And once you click on it, it takes you straight to the book. And you have all that you need to know over here. Embedded multi-level leadership in sport. I think the cost is somewhere around £96. That's as you see on the right side where the cursor is. And on the left side, you could see the book description, which is written here. So it takes you straight into the heart of the book. And then the table of contents. Under the table of contents, you click view more, and you see all the various contributors from different countries, which I'll be running you through pretty soon. And then beneath the table of content, you have the editors, renowned and astute professors in sports management, policy, and what have you. So you have the names written over here. So basically, that's it about the book. I would now take you through the various content, and that is the topics covered so far as the book is concerned. So you have a detailed understanding of what leadership is so far as sports management is concerned. Stay tuned and let's explore more. So now let's go to the outline of the book. The book is divided into 4 different parts. We have the first part, which is chapter 1. And that one in itself reviews current research on elite sports systems. And then we have the second part, which is the introductory chapters. And what it does is it outlines key elements of elite sports contexts. And then we have the third part that is, I think, from chapter 5 to chapter 12. And that section is the empirical. It outlines the empirical cases and illustrate how national context facilitates and constrain leadership practices. The contributors were from Russia, China, Ghana, Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, and the United States. The concluding section is the concluding section actually discusses, which is the chapter 13, discusses embedded leadership from the various empirical cases that I spoke about briefly. So it kind of like put all these cases together and then try to have a comparative analysis from these cases. So basically, in brief, that is the outline of the book. And I will take you through the various chapters so that you see what it's telling us. I hope these are interesting topics that would encourage you to learn more about sport management, sport leadership. Okay, so now let me run you through the 13 chapters, and I'll be very brief. I hope these chapters will be interesting for you, so that you get a copy of this book. So we start with chapter 1, and that was written by the editors, and Svein Andersen, Per Øystein, and then Barrie Houlihan. And the chapter actually reviews current research on elite sports systems, and it argues that there is an overemphasis on exploring the structures and constituent elements with emphasis on similarities. So basically, that's what this chapter actually does. It sets the stage for exploring and comparing leadership practices across diverse national systems. And now the chapter 2. The chapter 2 to 3, as I mentioned, is the second part, and it's the introductory section. So what does it do? Chapter 2 is about the leadership in elite sports, and it's written by Sigmund Lowland and Martin Sandvik. And here they depart from a practical case, and the chapter poses critical questions regarding the normative framework within which elite sports leaders operate. And they outline 3 frameworks, which are elite sports face expectations on fair play, expectations on entertainment value, and expectations on identity construction. Get a copy of this, and this is very interesting. Chapter 3, and this section outlines the political and governance contexts, and is written by Barrie Houlihan. The chapter explores the importance of multi-level political and governance context and their main implications for leadership in sports performance. So this analysis actually utilizes a definition of politics that is not confined to government and the formal apparatus of the state. So it also follows Stephen Luke's typology of power and the various ways in which the exercise of power can affect agency. It's important. This is an interesting chapter written by Barrie Houlihan. And then we have chapter 4, and here is the commercial context written by Chris Hobel. And the chapter explores the impact of increasing commercialization of sports, which affects not only the highest level of the most popular sports, but increasingly also sports clubs, federations, and other organizations in the elite sports system. So the chapter in itself illustrates various developments, including increasing interest in sponsorship from both commercial and sport partners, higher competition around media rights, or the growing influence of social media, which demonstrates that commercial context has become an inherent part of elite sports. Interesting chapter, and it'll be great for you to read this. Chapter 5. And this is written by Vasily Giriginov and Peter Smolyanov and Tamara Dalmutova. And this is where the empirical cases starts from chapter 5. And here the topic is multi-level leadership in Russia, elite sports. So they say that the Russian elite sport is part of a comprehensive state system of physical culture rooted in long traditions for the harmonious development of the person. And it is governed by laws and regulations and is subject to a good degree of bureaucratic control. And the elite sports system serves as a number of social, political, ideology, and economic functions. This outlines a very different context of sport administration in Russia. And as they mentioned, the bureaucracy plays an important role in running sports in Russia. So this part is also interesting for all those who are interested in learning more about multi-level leadership in Russia. Chapter 6, and this is a multi-analysis of the transformational leadership during the 2015 Chinese football reform. So this is a chapter that talks about the reformation of Chinese football in 2015, and the chapter presents a case study of transformational leadership during the 2015 Chinese national football reform. And it says that the elite sports system is part of a comprehensive system governed by laws, regulation, and bureaucratic control. So here you see the similarities between Russia and then China so far as sports administration is concerned. And under this chapter, where it says that it's a top-down system where elite sport is part of state efforts to symbolize successful societies and build international prestige. Now let's go to, and before I go to chapter 7, the chapter 6 was written by Qi Peng. Yes, so now let's look at chapter 7, and the topic here is leading and organizing German elite biathlon. And it's written by Peter Øystein, Barrie Schutstad, I hope I got its pronunciation right, and Svein Andersen. And the chapter focuses on the German elite teams in the context of an elite sport system, dominated by broad and autonomous sports associations. Elite sports, according to them, receives active support from the federal government as well as from individual states. And biathlon is mainly in 5 of the 16 federal states, with elite athletes gathered in regional training centers, the most important of which are Oberhof and Ruhpolding. So this chapter in itself outlines what I just said. So it wouldn't take much time. We look at chapter 8, and here the topic is multi-level leadership within Swiss elite sports system. We're in Switzerland now. It's written by Andreas Weber and Corinne Zummel. I hope I got the pronunciation right. And the chapter discusses the involvement of alpine skiing elite athletes in national level policymaking. The Swiss Olympic Association, together with the National Sports Association, is responsible for elite sports. And they say that the Federal Office of Sport mostly supports sports for children and athletes. And elite sports development is driven by the private sector. So professional athletes, clubs, and commercialized national sports associations finance themselves primarily through sponsorship, television contracts, as well as membership fees. So that's it for chapter 8. It's a very interesting one for those running association sports. And we have chapter 9, and it's written by Alan Grankier and Dag Vidar Hanstad. And the topic is leading for success in Danish and Norwegian national team handball. So here we are in Denmark and Norway. And the chapter presents a comparative analysis of the leadership and management of men's and women's national handball teams in Norway and Denmark. And in both countries, sport is dominated by voluntary sports organizations, and the state keeps an arm's length distance while providing sporting funds. So they say that there is a high degree of cultural similarity between the two countries. The high degree of cultural similarities between the two countries makes it possible to explore the significance of the structural differences between the national handball federations in Denmark and Norway. And so that's it for chapter 9. Sounds very interesting from the two Scandinavian countries. Then we go to chapter 10, and the topic of the chapter 10 is investigating shared leadership in elite sports, and it's written by Jacqueline Mueller, James Skinner, Stephen Swanson, Michael Narina, and Katrine Fransen. The chapter presents findings from rugby within the U.S. In the U.S., the state has no active or direct supporting role. Elite sports is mainly organized by a network of schools, colleges, and private commercial clubs. So the chapter in itself explores patterns of normal of formal and informal leadership found within the squad, and draws attentions to the emergence of leaders from among the ranks of peers to complement and supplement those in formal leadership positions. So this is the case of rugby in the US in chapter 10. Now we look at chapter 11, written by Peter Smolianov, Alan Gronkier, and Dave Ritpath, and Tamara Dolmatova. And the chapter looks at major sports in terms of popularity and commercial value. In contrast to other professional leagues in the US, 2/3 of the players are foreign. The entertainment value of professional sports and the need to do well in national series undermine local development and the competitiveness of the national team. So several programs are in place to recruit and develop young players and operate in a heterogeneous context where community clubs, schools, and colleges are important players. So that's it for this chapter. There are more there. Get a copy of this book, and I bet you would not regret, whilst you would also learn a lot here. Now, chapter 12, and this is where I contributed, written by Derek Chowie, myself, and I look at football leadership and public value in Ghana. And this chapter is about how the National Football Association of Ghana worked to restore its legitimacy within the Ghanaian society. And it also addresses the importance of building national identity, and looks at a popular mobilization that prompted Ghana to take action against corrupt leadership in the National Football Association. And that's it for the empirical cases. As I talked about the last chapter, which is the concluding section, the final chapter discusses the embedded multi-leadership from a comparative perspective, taking into account all the empirical cases that I talked about. The wider political and social environments provide a context for leaders in sports organizations. So based on the countries covered in the book, the editors, which is Svein, Andersen, Øystein, and Barrie, Houlihan distinguished between three groups, that is state-dominated system, state elite sports partnership, and countries with passive state with no state, and those with no state intervention. So this gives the depth of the book. And now it's important once again for you to get a copy. Don't forget, this is the book, Embedded Multi-Level Leadership in Elite Sports. Get yourself a copy, and it will be a very good start for the year. This is my first video for the year. I hope to bring you more from the world of sports, where young people especially share their experiences and how they got involved in various sports programs. And I take it from coaching to management. Thank you, as always, for the support. And I look forward to have a very successful 2022. Overall, I wish everybody good health, more wins, and also be focused and be positive. Have a very good day wherever you are, good evening wherever you are. Stay tuned. Bye.